So, what is the spiritual standpoint on depression? The Dalai Lama gave a really good answer to this. Basically, he was asked, what can we do not to get depressed? That was basically, he was asked this by a student at a college campus, or on one of his meetings. Actually, it wasn't at a college, it was in one of his meetings. And he gave a really good answer to this, and I really respect him for this answer, because he could have gone on some kind of religious tirade, of oh, you have to have faith, and really it's you should just get over it, and so forth. But he didn't. It was twofold, his answer. And one was basically seeing that nothing is as it appears. That was really important, and it's something I'm going to talk about probably quite a lot on this channel also. So basically, that's just from a purely existential perspective. It's not abnormal or uncommon to be depressed. I mean, on an existential level. I mean, if you just take everything completely as it is, actually depression is a normal response. I think the response you see from atheists is this is not actually a sound response. It's a militant response, which is also a response. I mean, I respect it as a standpoint, but it's a militant response to something that affects you, and the normal natural response to this effect is actually depression or despair. Actually, it's probably more despair if you really go into it. But anyway, so one part is nothing as it appears. And what I would say to that, all you need to understand about that is to see that it's not hopeless. That's one part. That's one takeaway. And then the other part is not self-centered standpoint. Because not having a self-centered standpoint puts you in the fundamental orientation of life itself. In other words, really, this is this giving attitude, because life is fundamentally not hopeless. So therefore, not having a giving attitude is fundamentally deluded. I mean, there's just no other way to say it. Because if you really understand that it's not hopeless, then to not be in a giving attitude is just delusional. I mean, there's no other way. And again, the natural response to that is isolation and depression, because you're not the same being. I mean, to put it very bluntly, I mean, again, if you really understand fundamentally that things are not hopeless from an existential standpoint, then really there is only one response to that, and that is to be compassionate, that is to be involved, that is to have things flowing from you. And so really, I mean, I completely back this answer. I mean, if he hadn't said it, I would have said this pretty much in the same form. I mean, there's just genuinely very little that I can add to that. I mean, only really from if we want to go beyond that, just from a liberation standpoint, that you can actually get so tired of existence and suffering that you will get to a point where you're gonna have to see, and this is a bit tricky, because remember, I mean, fundamentally, like, I mean, if we take like a Buddha or someone who is saved by God, you know, I mean, absolutely saved. In other words, someone who has entry to heaven, really. So he's karmically like done enough, and his personality is where it should be. Then that person can be saved. I mean, there's just genuinely no reason why it cannot be saved. And what does saved really mean? Saved really means is you have the correct attitude, and also it's a combination of sort of acceptance of the fundamental facts of existence, the right attitude towards them, and then also really seeing that there's no longer any necessity for you to suffer. I mean, really being able to say of myself in a correct way, not in a humanistic, deluded way. And this is the difference between religious liberation and humanistic liberation. Don't forget, like Nietzsche, that kind of liberation. It's just basically where you just raise yourself above all creation, and then that's done. And it just doesn't work. I mean, fundamentally, it just doesn't work. I mean, only because everybody. I mean, only because you say you're done. It doesn't mean you're not still a complete asshole or destructive or negative or loaded with past crap to sort out. Or I mean, even if that's not relevant, it doesn't mean really that you're necessarily done. And but I mean, it still is the same thing. I have to say that at the same time. I mean, really, it still is the same thing. I mean, where you just existentially get so tired that you have to see that the fundamental point of existence is not suffering. There may be suffering in existence, inevitably, but really, where you really have to see that I no longer need to suffer. There's no necessity. I have things to do, I have a lot of things to do. I have people to help. I've, even a life to live, But really, this is not something that is abnormal, to get to the point where you really see that, I really there's no I don't need to suffer anymore. There's no reason for this. And there's actually a bit of a bypass, because I'm not actually sure that is where spirituality or religion is taking you. I think where spirituality or religion is taking you is more being capable of dealing with suffering, because fundamentally the point is not to exit, it's to re-enter. I mean, really, you have to understand that you are part of a whole, and so this is not surprising. I mean, there's days still, and there is a certain amount of legitimacy, and the legitimacy is you need to understand that you have a home, and you need to really feel and understand what your home is, because really, I mean, if you don't have this, then or if you don't have a sense of this at least, then you're still lost. So, and then also you have like no basis to regenerate off. So yeah, this is what I would say. I would actually subscribe, to what the Dalai Lama said, that nothing is what it is, and so in other words, you have to see that there's hope, and then beyond that, a not self-centered perspective, which is a natural response to this insight. I could actually continue on with this a little bit with a story that Thich Nhat Hanh said. He told the story of this monk that was meditating, and he was meditating by a lake, and he saw that and he got very angry because a boat pulled up and disrupted his meditation, and he opened his eyes and saw the boat was empty, and then he got enlightened and realized the anger was in him. And so what really, I mean, that's an emptiness inside, you know. And don't forget, emptiness is not nothingness. This is very hard to grasp, but you need to get the emptiness is the womb of compassion, and you need to get a flavor for this, you know, to keep you, and that will actually keep you afloat. And also, you know, with Christianity, you know, I mean, God wants us to be saved. You know, God wants us to be saved, and God doesn't want us to suffer. Really, this is like a misperception, and yeah, really, you have to understand this, and this is really fundamental insight. You know, this is really important. So that is what would be my prescription against depression. And then, I mean, just having like meaningful activities in your life, you know, really, like, I mean, meaningful work or relationships. Or, I mean, even if there's an absence of those, I mean, that's also perfectly okay. I mean, there's no problem with that, but really still I mean, the perspective still stays the same. So that's what I would prescribe. Hope this helps you, and if you have any questions, please comment down below. Yeah, so I'll look forward to hearing from you and see you soon again. Bye bye.